With heroes still not being available while under upgrade, let's give you the best TH14 attack strategies to use without having one of each hero. Pretty much these attacks will have 3 heroes up but with only 1 hero not used. Keep in mind that these armies aren't a 100% guarantee, but are a bit more consistent than other no hero attack strategies at TH14. So what if you have your Warden under upgrade? Well, this gives you a chance to run some form of the Super Archer Blimp, and one of the best that doesn't always need the Warden is the Super Barch. So within the first phase of your Super Archer Blimp, since you don't have the Warden, you need to use the Lava Hound, which is going to protect your Blimp. Now keep in mind that there could be Seeking Your Minds deeper in the base, so you could use an invisibility to redirect the Lava Hound. Before the blimp pops though, use another invisibility, use 2 clones, a rage, and then time your invisibility spells every 4 seconds. You want to try and get as much of the base down from the core, so this includes dealing with Inferno, scatter shots, or even the Town Hall, which should be your major thing to remove. Other than that, you should be able to then start your heroes. Up next, you're pretty much going to start sending in your king and your queen as you move around. Super wall breakers are to get deeper into the base, especially into the core if you can, but for the most part, not having the Warden is such a massive downgrade in any attack. So this does give you a lot more flexibility when it comes to clear through a base. So it allows the heroes to kind of work themselves around, where you've got super barbarians to kind of help whittle down other trash buildings around the base. You've also got the back end Royal Champion, where you're using her to clear out built defenses on the back end of the base, which should allow you to close out with your heroes. This does make it incredibly simple. For super barbarians, you can basically use them as tanks and a way to clear the rest of the trash buildings. Overall, you should be able to get a pretty consistent 3-star with this one, as long as your blimp is able to get to your targeted destination. Just be very careful of things like bomb towers with the Super Archer Blimp, but this should work pretty consistently, considering that it doesn't have to use the Warden to be successful, and your heroes are the main portion outside of the Super Archer Blimp. Now, with one of the toughest heroes to have upgrading out of the way, what if you have your Archer Queen under upgrade? Well, most attacks can get value from her as a way to deal with the defensive CC or reaching over the wall to get value. But there is one attack that comes to mind, which is using the Warden Walk with the Fireball, yes I know, and the Super Witches. Now, since this attack does use the Fireball, let's break it down. Pretty much, we're going to start by funneling one side of the base. Using a couple baby dragons is definitely a great way to do so, as you want to make sure that you're using the Warden with the healers. Now, something else to keep in mind is that you can use the Unicorn with the Warden, so he doesn't have to immediately use the healers. But it is still a good idea to use those healers and bring them. Of course, you do want to make sure that you're clearing as many of the outer defenses as you can before you get to your invisibility spells. It's really important because you want to be able to control where the fireball is going. So this basically allows you to drop invisibility spells on close defenses by your Warden, so that way you can send the fireball to the core with 1 to 2 earthquake spells to remove a bunch of defenses. If you can remove the defensive CC, that is huge value. But if the defensive CC isn't possible to fireball, or it's just too deep into the base to do so, then I would just recommend having a poison spell, so that way you can deal with the enemy CC while your super witches move in. Now that you've gotten value from your fireball, it's now time to start your super witches. With that said, funnel the other side with the siege barrack, and then send in your super witches with support troops like Electro Titan, the Ice Golem, and the Barbarian King. While you're entering in, you should try to get deeper into the base with a super wall breaker, but also using the rage spell early on to power your super witches and your big boys. Overall, you should have the king in the base, especially having the yak. He's really going to help your super witches continue to power through. Though you can use this attack without the king, it just might not work on spread out designs like this very much. Overall, you do want to make sure that you're using the another rage spell to power your super witches and your big boys and maybe even the king into the base, but you should also make sure that you're using freeze spells specifically over key defenses like the Town Hall or scatter shots. It's really important to take down these high DPS defenses, which is definitely going to make it harder for your super witches later on. But for the most part, you should have a back-end royal champion all ready to go to help you clear through the back-end side of the base. It's very, very easy for you to actually power through the back-end when you have just a ton of super witches left up, especially having that back-end royal champion. So for the most part, this is not a difficult strategy by any means. If you're already used to the fireball super witches, then this is a strategy that you can run without your queen. She's not even needed. And even if you had to deal with a defensive CC, you've already got a troop that basically provides a tank and also can deal with the enemy CC troops while also doing high DPS to them. So with them out of the way, what happens if you have your barbarian king under upgrade? Well, since the king's main job in most attacks is to funnel or just be a nuke in the base, there are strategies that you can use without him, such as the Electro Titan Smash, where we're gonna start off with funneling. This is why we want to use the Flame Flinger on one side of the base with the Warden Walk on the other. This is going to establish just enough of a funnel. I would recommend bringing in some super barbarians to help control the Warden Walk, especially to where you want him to go. Or if there is something like a mortar on the outside of the base, this might be a good position to remove it, so that way the Flame Flinger can get more value. Other than this, you're going to let both of them set a funnel, and once the Warden has set one side, you can start to send in your Electro Titans. As the Warden has set the funnel, you can then send in your Electro Titans to move in with your Archer Queen. It is really important to note that you want to make sure that you're able to get through the entire base. So pretty much you will want to make sure that you're trying to keep that Warden alive for as long as humanly possible, being able to save that Warden's Eternal Tome and allowing you to deal with the enemy CC while also being able to move deeper in. You want to make sure that you're using the rage spells to power up the Electro Titans as they work around the base, and it's really important for you to do this in order for them to continue to have a lot of strength as they move around the base, being able to smash defenses. Of course, you should have the back-end royal champion help clear through, but you might also want to make sure that you're using free spells over key defenses like the Town Hall or Single Target Inferno, or even the Scatter Shot. Otherwise, you just want to make sure that you have your queen helping out with the strategy, so even if the Electro Titans do get split up a little bit, you should have more than enough power, even if there's just 2 in the core. Outside of that, having that back-end royal champion is going to very much help finish off the rest of the base, maybe even Hog Riders from your CC, which is really going to help whittle down the base and allow you to 3-star pretty consistently. Since this attack doesn't need the king to be successful, it's definitely a very consistent strategy without the king. And finally, what if you have your royal champion under upgrade? Well, unlike other heroes, having a back-end royal champion is usually a very important thing to have, but the Queen Charge Hybrid remains one of the strongest attacks even without the royal champion. With Hybrid being so strong with the support Warden, you're going to start off with the Queen Charge. I would recommend that you first do is try to set a funnel. Bringing in Super Barbarians is the most flexible way to be able to set a funnel, but you do also want to make sure that you are using the Queen Charge. You want to make sure that you're going in for the enemy CC and then any value and funneling that you can get. So it's really important to get her to go into a certain compartment, which will definitely make it a lot better for you. You should use an early rage to power up your queen as you move in. You could even bring in the use of the Apprentice Warden to provide support for your queen while she is dealing with different defenses and the enemy CC. But you just want to make sure that you are keeping her alive for as long as possible. So possibly having maybe like 2 to 3 rage spells is really good. You don't need as many rage spells as I bring here, but it can definitely help. Of course, you just want to make sure that you are trying to remove as many key defenses as possible as well and create a solid funnel. Which, speaking of which, while your queen is doing that, you've got your king on the other side with the siege barrack. This is going to establish the other side of your funnel, which is going to allow you to basically send in your hybrid between your 2 funnels into something like the Eagle Artillery, as it is especially a very heavy key defense that you want to remove. So while your Queen Charge is still going in, possibly even to remove the Town Hall, send in your hybrid with a good funnel set. You should be using an early heal spell, especially as you're dealing with a ton of different defenses, or even if you're dealing with the Barbarian King, take some Headhunters. Outside of that, you want to make sure that you're able to continue to move yourself in. So once your hybrid gets to around the core of the base, I would recommend using the Eternal Tome and the Healing Tome. This is going to keep everything alive for a while, and it's going to allow you to basically keep your entire hybrid staying alive even with just one heal. This then allows you to actually run a rage spell, which can really provide support for both the hybrid and the queen herself as well. So this really does help the hybrid a ton, especially while being affected with the Healing Tome and the Eternal Tome. Outside of that, you will be able to clear through the rest of the base. As long as you're able to get a really solid funnel set and keep your hybrid in, you really don't need the Royal Champion to see success, which is going to allow you to 3-star more often than not with the hybrid without needing the Royal Champion. Hopefully, this gives you an idea of the attacks that you can run if you only have one hero down, especially if you want to participate in War or CWL for those sweet ores. With hero equipment being so prevalent, it allows these kinds of attack strategies to flourish a lot more, even without having one hero. But with that said, if you want the best hero equipment for each attack, look no further to my video right here.